Hey everyone, welcome back to Reddit. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like because you don't want to miss what we've got in store. Today, we're diving into some jaw-dropping, real-life relationship cheating stories from Reddit that will leave you questioning everything. So grab your popcorn, sit back, and let's get into it. I've been with my wife-girlfriend best friend for 12 years. I've been deceived. We've built a life together, sharing a camper, multiple vehicles, and even playlists that define us. Although we've had a pretty rock-solid relationship the past few years, there's been a history of dishonesty on her part early in our relationship. She made a mistake and swore never to repeat it. I thought we'd move past it. Today, while I was at work, she texted she'd taken an Uber home because of car trouble. Later, she texted again, admitting it wasn't an Uber. It was a guy she met online. He drove hours to pick her up and brought her back to our camper. She slept with him, our camper, our home, what we've worked hard to get. It was nice till she brought him in there. Now I'm sitting in my car on Christmas Eve, disgusted and furious. I can't bring myself to go home because knowing he was in my house makes my skin crawl. And when does a life partner, someone you trust, just let someone waddles in there? Now he knows where I live. The kicker. She's tried to justify it by saying she's happy and safe, as if that makes it better. She even admitted to lying about the Uber, like confessing after the fact should make me feel better. Here's the thing. I don't know what to do. I don't want to throw her out on Christmas with no car and nowhere to go, but at the same time, she's the one who caused this. Why am I the one sitting out here, miserable, while she's cozy in the camper she violated? Part of me wants to leave her completely, but another part of me just wants to go back, have it out, make a big argument, get my stuff that has meaning, and move on. What do I do here? Should I leave her? Should I confront her? Should I throw her out? How do you move forward from something like this? I've already hashed it out with her over text. I'm pretty done with words for her at this point. Help? Think I already know, but looking for some insight. Long story short, I met a guy on Tinder. Seems like a great guy. We talked for a while before ever meeting. He never once talked to me about sex or sent a dick pic, total bonus, in my book. He actually worked with my cousin in a town that's 45 minutes away, and to my surprise, they are like best friends. Figured if my cousin liked him, he had to be good people. Invited him over and the rest is history. We are both divorcees. I left my ex a year ago. He left me for another woman, whereas they were supposedly separated and finalized on Halloween. To be cautious, I told him I didn't want a title of any sort, but we made it clear we would not talk or see anyone else as we navigated through whatever we were trying to figure out. Fast forward, a month into meeting each other and hitting it off, my father passed away. He was there every day. The day my dad died in the hospital, to the days after, the viewing and funeral. He lives 45 minutes away and works for UPS, so he'd come down, stay, and then leave, and do it all over again. He was by my side through it all. We often switch it up when we saw each other. Him coming to my town, and then his the next or a couple weeks in between. He's always welcomed me to his home, and let me treat it as if it was my own. Needless to say, he's treated me amazing since we've met. He'd come down on a whim, or even on his busy days at work, he'd come down and surprise me. Fast forward to this week. I went to spend a couple days in his town, and while he was working, I was getting ready as usual when I found several things. One being my straightener I bought for his house specifically, was hidden at the top of his cabinet where it wasn't visible. The second one was the brush he bought for me to use at his house, had blonde hair in it when I have black hair. Lastly, he has condoms he puts in his travel bag. One day I saw them and they were gold, and the next time he came, they were purple-ish. I was going to leave right away when we had originally made plans to go out to eat. We talked, and he said the straightener was put away because his ex still has stuff at their house, which I get and she has access to. And she was getting her Christmas stuff, and he said he didn't want her thinking it was hers and taking it. The brush he said he had used to comb hair out of another brush, which was supposedly her hair, and the condoms he said for me to look into his bed frame, where he had the two condoms, the gold and purple ones in. Yes, I'm sure everyone's thinking the same thing, but I can't imagine it all when there is signs of me everywhere within his house. There's 2 toothbrushes there. I even have vagina wash in his shower, and my golf bag in his garage, etc. But then again, when I told him I was coming, it was on a whim, and he could have said it all out before I got there. He often leaves town to visit his son who lives an hour or so away. And IDK. I'm not judgmental or jealous, so as long as he'd text every once in a while, I was cool with it. But fuck, this one hurts, because he was the first guy I'd been with since being separated. He treated me great. And when confronted, he didn't have an outburst. He kindly said what he said, and was a little stoic because he gets triggered if someone accuses him of cheating because his ex did all the time. He said he was mad for even making me question his loyalty, and that he was mad at himself more than anything. Mad, I'm sure, that he got caught. But then he rushed working during peak season to come surprise me, even for a day, which was before I came down. He calls my mom, Mom. His attitude hasn't changed, and he doesn't act guilty, IDK. He tells me shit like he wants to have my baby in the future, how he's afraid to lose me, how he says he loves me, etc. Is this even justifiable, or am I just stupid? Is it just me, or is something, did she cheat? I'm in a long-distance relationship. We've been seeing each other for 18 months, spending time with each other in real life. She lives in another state and was supposed to move in with me in February. The issue started over the holidays. She has a brother that she misses because she moved across the state. They invited her down for Thanksgiving. It was supposed to be her brother, her sister-in-law, and her sister-in-law's brother for Thanksgiving. I'll call her sister-in-law's brother John. John lives about 50 miles away from her brother. John added her on Snap just before Thanksgiving and was going to drive across the state and pick her up and drive her back. A 12-hour round trip. He was also staying the night with them the day before Thanksgiving. She didn't go because she had to work. So Christmas comes and it's the same story. She tells me she isn't going to go, but ends up going. She decided to stay until December 30th. She takes a bus this time, and John is staying the night Christmas Eve. I call her and she doesn't want to talk to me in front of them. She says it's embarrassing. Funny, because she had a pregnancy test done and told her sister-in-law about it and about me. I told her to just tell them that her boyfriend wants to talk to her and go to another room or go outside. She refused to say that in front of them, and I asked why. She said she will do it later in the week. It's like she refused to let John know that she has a boyfriend. I asked her several times and she just refused. She said she would do it the next day, but never did. They made sure there was an empty bed when John stayed the night. They put the kids in the parents' room. John was supposedly asleep on the recliner. Is it just me, or does this seem like she didn't want John to know about me because she is cheating with him? Need advice? Did I catch him cheating? Last night, I was walking past him in the living room and saw he had a text conversation on his phone. As soon as I walked past, he swiped out of it very quickly and turned his phone off. Later, I asked him about it, and he said he was just deleting Christmas promo texts. I mentioned that it looked like a full conversation as I saw his replies. He told me that he hasn't done anything for me to think he would be cheating, and that he is with me all the time, and he wouldn't do that. He said I must have just been seeing things because there wasn't a conversation up, and he was just deleting texts. He was kind of freaking out about it, and gave me the silent treatment. I asked to see his phone, and he said no, then later said yes, saying things like, "What do you even have to look at? There's nothing in here." I gave up, and immediately afterwards he was super loving to me, and just acted like there was nothing going on at all. I felt it was super suspicious. I'm not sure what to do now as I have no proof, but at the same time I feel that is proof enough. What do you think I should do? Wife cheated in rehab and wants to work it out. Preface: I rewrote this to include all the details. This is a true story. Please read all of it and provide me with some sound advice. My 43 male wife, 41 female, and I have been together for over 20 years. We have 2 kids under the age of 10. About 3 years ago, we started arguing about her drinking too much. Then, I called her out for using cocaine while drinking. She promised to stop doing coke, but said she liked having a drink or two before bed and asked me to respect that. I smoke weed at night after work to relax, so I conceded. We continued to argue occasionally about her drinking, which eventually led to a huge fight when I asked her to stop hanging out with her drug-using friend. My wife countered by accusing me of having an affair with my female best friend. I never had a physical affair with my best friend, but I admit I got too close to her when my wife's drinking and drug use escalated. You could say I had an emotional affair, but I quickly made sense of what I was feeling and didn't let it develop further. After the fight, I went to stay at my mom's for a few days, which made my wife angry. She wouldn't let me come home for about 2 months. We eventually started going to marriage counseling, and it felt like things were improving. She was still drinking, but it seemed to be limited to the evening, and our communication had gotten much better. A few months into counseling, she went on a trip to visit a friend. When she came back, she was acting suspiciously. I eventually caught her texting with some guys she met on the trip. She swore nothing physical happened and claimed she just liked the attention and was flirting. I didn't believe her and asked her to leave. She went on a 3-day cocaine and alcohol bender before admitting she had a problem. She checked into rehab the next day. About a month into rehab, I found out she was being advised to move to a sober living home instead of coming home. I was blindsided by this, but agreed. She ended up at a place called 405 Recovery in Orange County, where there's apparently a sober sorority house and sober fraternity house, and everyone hooks up. I suspected she was cheating on me. She started pulling away from me and the kids for 2 months, which led to more fighting. She blamed me for hurting her recovery by pushing her to spend more time with us. Eventually, I found out my wife was having an affair with a 26-year-old guy. I caught her with him just days after her sober living program ended. Upon getting caught, she relapsed and went back to rehab. For the next few weeks, we had no contact, and I filed for divorce. She didn't contest it. My wife is now living in another sober living home and says she wants to start over and work things out. I do too, but I can't trust her. I told her I want to learn to trust her again, but a week ago, I discovered she had still been in contact with the 26-year-old because she cares too much about his sobriety. I figured this out by checking her phone records. She admitted it, but claimed she only wants to be with me. She said she was taking his calls because she didn't want him to harm himself. He eventually started stalking her, and she now swears they've cut off contact, as of a week ago. I don't know what to do. I love her and want to keep our family together, but I don't trust her. Over the past 2 weeks, she has been putting more effort into communicating with the family. She FaceTimes the kids every night and sends me texts saying she loves me and is working on herself. I've seen her on Sundays when I drop off and pick up the kids for a 2-hour visitation window. Our conversations have been cordial, but are starting to lean toward working things out. I kissed her the last time I saw her, and it was bittersweet. On one hand, I feel like I've been the one pushing for reconciliation. If I hadn't, she seemed almost indifferent. Now that I'm showing interest, she's trying to show love. On the other hand, I still love her, and I have my own skeletons in the closet that my wife doesn't know about. It's not like I expected her to grovel, but I guess I hoped she would fight for the marriage the way I would. But she's an addict. My oldest had a breakdown recently and reminded me that I taught him we never give up on family, even if they give up on us. My youngest physically pushes us together during pickups and drop-offs. Both kids have been in therapy for a couple of months and have said they don't want us to divorce because they don't want to spend time away from me. I don't know what to do. I'm in a bad mental state, and therapy hasn't been helping. I'm so lost. My partner cheated, and I'm trying to make sense of it. Looking for opinions. Hi everyone. I've been struggling with a situation in my relationship, and I need an outside perspective to help me process it. My partner and I have been together for 1 year and 4 months, and while we've had ups and downs, I believed we were committed to each other. A few months ago, I found out my partner had been messaging a coworker inappropriately and had met up with them outside of work without telling me. When I confronted them, they denied it until I showed them proof. Then they proceed to apologize, tried to explain. Since then, I've been trying to rebuild trust, but also struggling with resentment. I'm currently unsure about whether I should stay and work on this or walk away. I'd really appreciate honest opinions, advice, or similar stories. Thanks in advance for taking the time to read this. Do women regret their mistake? I was in a relationship for 3 years. It ended recently because my girlfriend repeatedly lied to me, and I admit I became disrespectful toward her for it. I'm about 90% sure she cheated on me once. During this time, I was dealing with an anxiety disorder and was already feeling detached from her. Instead of being supportive, she was often rude about my condition and even made fun of it. The breakup itself happened when I asked her to repay a small loan I had given her. Instead of agreeing or even discussing it calmly, she started blaming me for a lot of things. She refused to return the money, and honestly, I don't care about it anymore. It wasn't a big amount. What's really eating me up is the mix of guilt and confusion I feel. I know I wasn't perfect. I made mistakes too, but she did much worse to me, including lying, mistreating me, and possibly cheating. Yet every time I try to hate her, I end up focusing on the good parts of her. I protected her, cared for her, and supported her through everything, but she treated me terribly and blocked me everywhere after the breakup. I don't want to go back to her, but part of me wonders, will she ever regret how she treated me? Why am I still stuck seeing the good in someone who caused me so much pain? Is it normal to feel this way after being treated so badly? And that a wrap on today's crazy chatting Reddit stories. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so that you won't miss the other part of this series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.